Shabbat, week 15, Numbers chapters 22 through 25. Here we have an interesting account of Balaam and Balak and a talking donkey. Balak was the king of Moab, and he had seen the children of Israel traveling. He was afraid of them because there are large numbers. And so he sent for a prophet named Balaam. And Balaam was one who heard the word of God, but he was one who was interested in profit. So Balaam was received by the emissaries from Balak, who asked him to come and curse the children of Israel. Balaam asked them to stay the night, and he said he would wait to hear what God would say to him. And so Yahweh came to him that night and told him that the children of Israel were blessed, and he was not to curse them. Now, Balaam told the emissaries from Balak that God would not allow him to do that, to curse them. And Balak sent more reputable people to Balaam. Now, that should have been enough for Balaam to recognize that Yahweh did not want him to curse the people of Israel. But he asked the people to stay the night, and Yahweh came to him again and told him to go to the people. But he was only to say what God told him to say. Now, Balaam set out to go to Moab, and he was riding his donkey. The angel of the Lord was in front of him to block his path. The angel had a drawn sword. The donkey was able to see the angel, and he swerved away from the angel, ended up into a point where he had to sit down under Balaam to prevent him running into the angel. And Balaam flew into a rage and started beating his donkey. He beat his donkey 3 times. And God allowed Balaam's eyes to be open where he would see the angel. And the angel informed him that indeed, if the donkey had not sat down under him, he would have slain Balaam. And in this discussion, the donkey was actually talking to Balaam. Now, Balaam was in such a rage that he didn't recognize that he was indeed talking with the donkey. Now, this was an unusual, miraculous event. But the donkey was able to talk to him because God allowed him to do that. And Balaam went on to Balak. Balak took him to various places to curse the children of Israel. But each time, Balaam did a sacrifice and asked the Lord what he would have him to say. Yahweh told him that he was to bless the children of Israel and not to curse them. Balak took him to several places to try to get him to maybe God would change his mind. But it didn't happen. And Balak ended up being upset with Balaam and told him that to go back to where he came from. But Balaam was motivated by greed. He wanted to indeed make a profit off of Balak. But God told him something that he gave him a prophecy. And it was a prophecy about the Messiah, the coming of the Messiah. And he had seen, and Balaam told Balak this prophecy about the coming Messiah for the children of Israel. But one thing in chapter 25, Balaam was still motivated by greed. And he told the children of Israel, he told Balak how he might be able to defeat the children of Israel. And it wasn't by might, but he was going to do it subtly. He was going to have the women of Moab entice the men of Israel to commit adultery, to commit idolatry, to worship other gods, to eat food sacrificed to the gods of Moab. And in chapter 25, this is what happened. The children started to follow the gods of Moab and to commit idolatry and worship other gods. This caused Yahweh to be very angry with them, and he was going to destroy them once again. But Phinehas, the son of Ithamar, a grandson of Aaron, went into an Israelite who had brought a Moabite woman into his tent. He killed them both, and that assuaged Yahweh's anger. And one thing about the era of Balaam, in the book of Jude, it talks about committing the era of Balaam, and that was to utilizing the gifts that God had given him to profit himself. And that was something that we are warned not to do. Gifts that God has given us and abilities we are to use for Yahweh.